Hello, and welcome to the Lightworker Diaries, a space for reflection, truth-telling, and soulful remembering. My name is Tiffany, and I am a truth teller, a mystic, and a mirror. These are transmissions from my heart to yours, an archive of channeled wisdom, lived stories, and the real work of becoming. May something in here stir something in you. Hello, my friend, and welcome back to the Lightworker Diaries. I have something in particular that I have been struggling with quite a bit this year, something that you have seen and heard in multiple episodes, but something that I haven't dedicated an entire episode to in this way. And that is the curse of performance. Many people, like you and I, who have grown up being the low maintenance, good girls and boys of this world, have become so good at performing that we don't even realize it's happening until it becomes so uncomfortable in our bodies, we can't deny it any further. And I want to really bring this topic to light because I think there is a world in which performance no longer becomes the habit and we start operating from a different way of being. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. You know that I have had a hell of a time transitioning from a very logical way of being after decades of being an accountant, being in corporate, doing what I needed to do to survive in this world, and in many ways doing what I thought I needed to do, being the person I thought I needed to be. And so I have had this operating system that says we run on performance, we run on making sure everyone is taken care of, we run on perfection, we run on, putting out everyone else's needs first, because that's what got me what I needed, which was attention, resources, cash, name the thing. But as I have been on this journey of discovering what this meant for more sensation really actually means in the world, I have taken that little trip from the mind down into the heart, and it is quickly becoming a well-worn path. Because as much as I would love to stay in the wisdom of my heart, my mind is not yet willing to give up the steering wheel. And it comes back time and time and time again. In fact, it's probably the one thing that I work with the most with my coach is how do I stay in my heart? How do I stay true to myself? How do I stay in the authentic expression of me rather than the performative version of me? And as much as I would say I have it figured out, I don't. I absolutely don't, not even remotely close. But what I do have is a lot of tools, a lot of practices, and more stories than you and I could ever get through in the course of what will likely be an upcoming book. So let's just start with something that we have talked about before, but maybe seeing it through this slightly different lens. You know that when I started this year, I began putting offers out there, right? You leave corporate, you have to come up with another stream of income. And so I have been focused on building up another income stream to replace the one that I let go. And that has been much more challenging than I expected. To be completely honest, I thought by now I would have more than replaced my salary, and that is not the case. And someday this will be a wonderful success story, but right now I'm still in it. I'm still in the figuring it out phase. And as someone who is highly intelligent and high performing, this has been incredibly frustrating. But what I also know to be true is I've done a lot of performative offers. I've put a lot of stuff out there that looks good on paper, that solves a problem, that delivers a transformation that should work, but had come from my head and not my heart. And every time that I have put a mind-based offer out there, something that my mind created, it hasn't gone anywhere. It has fallen flat. I have even had offers that people have asked me for, specifically asked me for and requested, that after I built them, didn't get any interest, which was really heartbreaking for me. And it's interesting that I chose the word heartbreaking because it was never the heart that created it. When I started understanding this inner knowing that I was going to be leaving the company that I had been working for probably about a year ago, I knew at that point in time that there were only two things that I really wanted to do in this lifetime. I wanted to travel and I wanted to write. And I have stood by those two things over and over and over again, saying that that is all that I want. And it seems so incredibly simple to think that could be my life. And my mind, as much as it's like, that's cute, also, it's like you live in a 3D reality where you need money to pay for things. If you want to book a flight, you need cash. If you want to stay somewhere in Spain and have the most delicious olives of your life, you need money for that. And so I have been, like I said, trying to create income streams. And the interesting thing is that I have not yet tried doing the two things that I said I wanted to be doing more than anything else in the world, which is travel and write. And I know it sounds as crazy to me right now as it probably does to you, but I have done just about everything other than the two things that I want to be doing in an effort to be able to do the two things that I want to be doing. It's, oh my gosh, I'm like saying it in circles because I think I need to like cement it into my brain. So there is part of me right now that is very much wanting to throw in the towel. I'm sick of trying to build sales pages. I'm sick of trying to promote offers. I'm sick of trying to figure out automations in ManyChat that will lead you to a product that you could buy and it's a low ticket and it's amazing. I'm just sick of going through the motions because I feel like every time I put something up there that fits the bill, that looks like it's supposed to, that's me performing entrepreneurship, it's just a waste of my time and energy. And to be honest, there's a part of me that's like relieved, incredibly relieved to think about the process or the concept of not having to do that. Like, what if entrepreneurship isn't really the thing that I was meant to be? What if I was meant to really, truly be a creative and live an unconventional life? That makes my heart expand like the Grinch 3 times its size. And it's interesting because when I'm doing my storytelling, when I'm doing my podcasting, I don't feel performative. I don't feel like I'm trying to figure anything out. I just feel like I'm talking to a friend. And there's a part of me that says, well, you haven't really grown the Lightworker Diaries, even though you've been doing it since 2020. So you must not be doing it right. But maybe that's not true. Maybe the only thing that wasn't happening in the, air quotes, right way was the fact that I didn't believe in myself enough to believe that people would actually find it and listen to it. But when I actually look at my podcast metrics, you are listening. I mean, you're listening right now. And more listeners are listening. I have thousands of downloads. So for something that is brand new, this is actually working. And I've heard a lot of people say it, like if you start a YouTube channel, don't expect to monetize in year 1 because you're just getting started and people have to find you and the right people have to find you and that takes time. And there's the quantum neuroscientist in me that says, well, we can collapse the field. We can make it happen faster. And I do still believe that's true, although I don't still believe that's true in the same conviction that I had before, because I've been believing that for myself. And perhaps the thing that I didn't realize was how often I was getting distracted from the thing that I really wanted, that performance. So coming back around to the very top of the episode, what I was thinking about before I hit record is how performance is a habit. For those of us who have trained ourselves to do what we are told so we don't get in trouble, so we get paid, so we stay safe, so we have what we need, breaking the habit of performance takes energy. It takes effort. It doesn't just happen. Things don't just shift because you've literally wired this into your brain that this is how you respond to things. And your autonomic, I think that's the right word, your autonomic response is to go into performance. You have to actually catch yourself in a moment of awareness to realize that you're acting out of performance in order to change that habit and act in a different way. And so I think a large part of what I've been doing this year has been very performative. And now I'm really starting to see just how much that has tripped me up because it's been the habit that I have operated under for decades. And so if you are also on this journey and you're like, gosh, I just want to be paid to be me, it's going to take some time to decondition yourself from the version of you who has always performed for what you need. Because it takes some additional awareness and some additional effort to break that pattern and choose differently. And it's not to say that it can't happen, because I know that it can. But what I'm saying is that you need to be more aware. You actually need to slow down even more and really tune into your physical response, your emotional response, your energetic response to things to make sure that your actions you're taking are coming from the heart space rather than the habitual performance mental space. So let's just dive into a couple of the tools and practices that I use when I remember to. First of which is being the pause, right? The sacred pause. So your mind gets in, it gets all chitter chattery. It's like all excited. This is funny. There's a woman walking in front of me and she's feeding the crows cereal and they are just like happy as can be. And if you know me, you know that crows are a symbol for me. So this is like a sign that we're onto something really good. So follow the cereal crumbs here, people. The first thing that I would recommend is slowing down. And for many of us high achievers, this is the hardest one because slowing down feels almost like death. And the thing that you are doing when you are slowing down is you are creating space between trigger and reaction. Most of the time, something happens and you respond right away. You react right away. I would actually say react, not respond. What we want to do is create even a breath of space between whatever has triggered you. And trigger doesn't have to be negative. There could be a positive trigger, something that has awakened you or activated you. Between that and your chosen response, you need at least a breath, something that reminds your mind there's a difference between a habitual reaction and a chosen response. So what this might look like is somebody reaches out to you and says, I would really like to work with you. This is what I need. And instead of just saying, yep, I'll take it. Let's do it. Great. You pause, you take a breath, you ask some questions, you make sure you're both clear that you're the right fit for each other. And then you mutually decide that that's the right thing. That takes trust. That takes patience. That takes a skill that when you are trying to make money quickly, you might bypass in order to just take what's available. The next tool, once you have that little pause of awareness, is really simple. And I think I've actually talked about this in a couple episodes, but you're going to take 2 fingers and you're going to go either up or down your shirt. Don't worry. You can do this at home or in the privacy of your vehicle. I'll give you an alternative for if you're out in public, but you're going to take those 2 fingers and you're going to feel around in your chest to feel the warm, soft, magnetic space that is your heart. And when you get it, you'll feel it. You're going to let your 2 fingertips rest on that space. I like this approach because it's like a laser. You really get dialed in and you can feel it more strongly than option B, which is great if you're in public and don't want to stick your hand down your shirt, which is taking the palm of your hand and putting the palm of your hand over your heart. That is like the floodlight approach, right? You can feel it, but it's a little bit more dispersed. So if you really want to get in there, take the laser approach, 2 fingers to heart. You want to do floodlight because you're in a space where putting your hand up your shirt might look questionable to people. You can go ahead and put that floodlight on there, put your palm right on your heart. But you're going to put your palm or hand or fingers on your heart space, and you're going to take a couple breaths here. And in that space, you're going to ask this part of you, this heart part of you, what is right? Or you're going to feel into the energy of the options, and you're going to notice which one makes your heart expand, which one makes your heart contract, or some other variation. My guess is you know exactly what's a yes and what's a no. The thing that's not happening, like for me, is you're not taking the time to ask. You're jumping straight into, I have to do something about this. And that is hijacking the process. So we've got the sacred pause. We've got the heart sense. And the last one that I'm going to say, and this is the one that I should practice more myself, sleep on it. Sleep on it. There is very little in this world that is so urgent or necessary that you have to absolutely do it immediately or it's going to disappear. And the more I have learned about like human design, most people are not designed to create instantaneous decisions. Most people are not. In fact, there are lots of people in this world who have a 28-day cycle. And granted, that's not for like, should I have a grilled cheese or a ham sandwich? That's like big life stuff. But also, just take into consideration the fact that there are people in this world who have a 28-day cycle for making decisions, and they're doing just fine. Their needs are still getting met. They're still taken care of. Everything is still working out in their favor. And they are actually getting a lot more information about every single decision. And I would say are getting even better decisions in the fact that they're more informed. Could you imagine sitting, if you're not a reflector, could you imagine sitting with an idea for a full month before taking action on it? How much more well-developed that idea would be than if you just went out and just did it and figured it out. And it's interesting because I hear you. I hear you because I hear me too. There's part of me that's like, you learn faster in motion. You absolutely do. And maybe that's just a little nuance. I don't know. But there's also just this component of time and how much information you can get from time. I look back at my journey. It's almost the end of June. I took my last paycheck in November. Well, October, technically. It's been over 6 months. And there is a part of me that says, by now, I should have my breakthrough. And yet, each week that passes, I'm learning more, I'm practicing more, I'm getting more clarity, I'm leaning in, I'm staying in the game, but I'm not arrived. And I think that's okay. I think that's okay. Because I know I am taken care of. I know that this is the path that I'm meant to be taking. And to be completely honest, I think the many, many detours and false starts that I've had this year are all part of my story and part of what I'm going through, because this is what I'm meant to teach. If I just got the express pass from A to B, what would I talk about? I don't know. That's actually fascinating for me to think about. When I started this year, I had a gal that I was talking with. She had left Amazon and replaced her income within the first month. And I remember thinking, oh, that's going to be me too. I'm going to be the instant success story. It's going to be fabulous. Within 3 months, she was sharing how she was back to working weekends and nights because she had so much on her plate. And I was like, oh, her lesson is different than mine. Mine is how to make the ask, how to create the connections, how to build the relationships. Hers is setting boundaries. 2 different things, boundaries in different form. Her way of experiencing entrepreneurship is perfect for her, just as mine is perfect for me. I don't have a sense that I need to go get a job yet, even though I have found myself looking at job postings more than once. I know that there is a path forward for me, and I know that that path is going to require me to do things that are uncomfortable, like share my story with you. But also, that's exactly what I feel like I'm meant to be doing. Because I feel like at some point in time, we're both going to look back and we're going to be so grateful that I documented this process as it was unfolding, because this is so much more real-time valuable for what we're actually thinking about and experiencing than someone who's standing on the mountaintop and saying, this is how I got here, and no, I don't remember any of the nuances. I think it actually takes a lot of courage to show up over and over each day and talk about what's happening real time and know that you're moving in the right direction and the right people will find you. And it's okay if they just haven't yet. So maybe there's something that you got today from the message of learning how to break the habit of performance. Or maybe you just needed to hear from someone who's in it like you are and figuring it out one day at a time and hasn't had the type of success that you were expecting to have by this point, but also have more wins and more celebrations than you could have ever possibly imagined. Because every day you show up and you let yourself be guided. Even when you get distracted, you keep coming back. And for that reason, you know your success is inevitable. Thank you for listening to the Lightworker Diaries. If something stirred in you today, take a breath and let it land. To go deeper, you can subscribe to the written diaries on Substack. You'll find a link in the show notes. Until next time, be true to you.